So consider if a fresher comes to you
Yeah.
and if he asks you, what is anthropology all about?
Yes.
And if he wants to opt anthropology is optional,
Yes.
like how would you introduce the subject?
In the Indian settings, you get to know the culture of different tribes. She switched over her optional from sociology, and in the very first attempt after switching over optional, she scored all India highest in the optional.
What makes anthropology one of the popular subjects or popular optionals for UPSC civil service examination? Sir, is there any specific background, or what do you think, is there any prerequisite for choosing anthropology as an option?
And there is one more apprehension from the student community saying that I have to remember some n number of tribes names, I have to mug up them. No. Once you get to understand your preparation.
What is the role of previous year questions in the preparation for the anthropology subject or to score 300 plus? Anthropology is considered one of the most favorite optional subjects by toppers. To share the insights about the same, we have our anthropology faculty, Dr. Ravi Reddy, who is a doctor by profession from Karnal Medical College. He has given 4 mains exams and consistently scored very good marks in the anthropology, and then he has given 3 interviews. And he has been guiding aspirants for the past 10 years for the UPSC civil service examination. So let's talk to him and get some valuable insights about this anthropology optional. So just now when I was looking at your profile,
Yeah.
I saw you were first into MBBS
Yes.
and then like you became a doctor obviously,
Yeah.
and after that you started preparing for civil services,
Yes.
and now you're teaching students anthropology.
Yeah.
So can you please elaborate on your journey?
Right. So I have done my MBBS in Karnal Medical College. While I was doing MBBS, I was into this aura of administration because I got to see number of patients in the Karnal GGH, which is a very big hospital,
Yes.
and I came across number of patients from Chenchu tribes.
Okay.
So I was thinking like what could have been done better in their lives so that their stand of life might change. Those were very initial thoughts, very crude thoughts. And once I started with the civils preparations, coincidentally or fortunately or whatever you term it, my seniors who is in service now like Bharat Gupta and Uday Praveen. So all they have walked the path of anthropology with the anthropology optional.
Okay.
So with their guidance, I have started reading about anthropology. Once I started reading about anthropology, not just as a optional for UPSC, it fascinated me a lot. It created number of questions in my mind like why is this? Why the society is like this? Why the culture is like this? Oh, this is how human behave because this is the reason. So number of answers came out, number of questions came out. So then my UPSC journey ended with 3 interviews. I thought of sharing, why don't I share this knowledge of anthropology with the fellow peers so that I can make their job also easy. So that is how this path went.
Okay. So of all the subjects, so what fascinates you the most about anthropology?
Definitely, what doesn't fascinate about anthropology? Anthropology is a subject where you can say, this is like completely, you question everything, right? How you wear your dress, what you eat, why some people don't eat meat, or why some people follow only specific religious customs, or how come your jaw or your teeth alignment evolved so that your meat grinding capacity changed. How come your digestive system got adapted to the different food patterns? Anything that includes anthropology, everything, you name it under the sun, everything comes under anthropology.
So consider if a fresher comes to you,
Yeah.
and if he asks you, what is anthropology all about?
Yes.
And if he wants to opt anthropology as an optional,
Yes.
like how would you introduce the subject to him or her?
Yeah, for a fresher, let's say a fresher comes to me with a question like you said, what is anthropology? To be simple, anthropology is study of us. Anthropos means humans and logos means study. So anthropology is study of humans. So broadly, the subject deals with how humans evolved from the primates. Like if you call it as a old world monkeys or monkey stage to humans, to be simple language. So how we evolved both from physically, like how did we changed our stand from 4-legged animal to 2-legged animal, and how our society evolved with the evolution of the man. Like how culture evolved, how society formed, how come these rules have come, like who should marry whom, like how an economic systems of that society came into practice, or how come the rules of justice, law came into practice. All this comes under this anthropology. Along with this, at the individual level, you also get to know about your basic level of gene, like how an individual from the stage of fertility, like from the level of the gamete, then embryo, then fetus, then infant, then adult, and then death, all this chain of events, and everything will be covered under anthropology. And specifically in the Indian settings, you get to know the culture of different tribes, Indian village social systems. All these topics you will get to know and you will read as a part of anthropology optional syllabus. So this is how a basic understanding for a student who wants to know what is anthropology for the exam.
Sir, in the recent years, we have seen many toppers or the successful candidates who have chosen anthropology as optional.
Yes.
And for instance, there are people who are failing with multiple like optionals, like other optionals.
Yes.
And once they shifted back to like anthropology, they were able to become successful in the UPSC civil service examination.
Yes, correct.
So what my question is, what makes anthropology one of the popular subjects or popular optionals for UPSC civil service examination?
Yes, as you said, many people have cleared even after switching the optionals. Many officers, you can see number of people like Abhishek, number of people, even highest scorer till now in anthropology with 362 marks. She is a candidate called Lakshmi. She switched over her optional from sociology, and in the very first attempt after switching over optional, she scored all India highest in the optional. 362 is not a thing, that's not an easy thing.
Yes.
So why, if I see with the journey which I had with the anthropology optional, there are a couple of things which will make it possible. First thing is, you have a finite syllabus. You have a finite syllabus, a prescribed syllabus. The second thing is where you will get to understand the patterns which is being asked from the UPSC. You understand the patterns, you get to know the rules of the game, then it will be very easy to play the game. There will be a frequent, if you are conscious about the important enriched areas or hotspot areas where you can find, okay, this is where I have to be very cautious while doing my preparation, which is where I have to do my best efforts. And you give 100% and your soul to those areas. And trust me, scoring the 280 plus 300 is very easy in anthropology. Along with this, the other things like availability of the material, or say the test series, or peer group, or quality students, all this number of factors will definitely help you to reach that score. Along with this, there are some optionals, maybe I don't want to name them. These are like wild swings. Either you get very best scores or you will get very bad scores. That is not with the case of anthropology. There is a consistent average score which you can claim the score if you do your part of the preparation. And with your best efforts, you will be in the list. So that is why this is very popular among the candidates, and it is showing the results even in every year. Even if you see every year, you will get at least 1 or 2 candidates in the top 10 and almost like 9 to 12 candidates in top 100.
Yes.
Yes. So this is very good optional as far as the exam demands are concerned.
So as you mentioned, there was a person like who scored 362.
Yes.
And as we know, getting 300 plus is very important.
Yes.
For a person to get a double digit rank or maybe a single digit rank.
Yes, correct.
So what is the scope a student has with respect to the anthropology subject to score 300 plus compared to other optional?
Yes. Just like as I said, the average score of anthropology was never been bad for the past decade even you see. So scoring 260 to 280 is very much achievable with if you put your sincere efforts. From there, like you have to write around 29 to 30 questions in the mains paper for both paper 1 and paper 2 combined.
Yes.
So with your efforts, with your answer writing skills, with the value addition, strictly adhering, improving your, how you gonna address the demand of the question. If you improve at least 1 mark for each question, there you get your 300 plus, 320 plus. That is very much achievable with the anthropology.
Sir, is there any specific background, or what do you think? Is there any prerequisite for choosing anthropology as an option? Like any student of any background can choose it, or are there any specific prerequisites for it? Can you please elaborate on that?
Very good question. This is the most frequent question which I come across those people who want to choose optional, and there is very bad myth saying this is only for people with a science background. That is very bad myth. I can show you n number of examples who come from BTech and arts background and scored very good marks in anthropology. Very number of people, very huge number of people. So this is a very bad myth which says this is for science background, though there is nothing. The only thing I can say, yes, it is easier for those with a science background because the physical anthropology, which is almost like 20% of the syllabus or less than that, that has the terms which is included in their graduation, maybe like bone name or a gene, the term like gene, allele, which these students might have missed during this graduation. But that's not a rocket science which they cannot master. I would say if we want to reframe it, we can say like, this is not only for the science background, this is for everyone, which that might give a small advantage to the science background.
So that brings me to my next question, sir. So there is a popular myth saying that anthropology is very static. So you have to mug up a lot of information. So how far is it true, or how far is there that part of mugging up of the subject?
I would say that is again another myth, just like we discussed with the science background. So this mugging up factor, I would say, like for example, if you are reading a definition according to some thinker, let's say E.B. Taylor in anthropology. So definitions would be definitions. That goes with any optional, be it public administration or PSIR or geography or wherever you are reading the definition, that would be definition. You cannot put in your own words in the definition according to some other thinker or some other person who defined it. If you consider that as a marking up, then you are mistaken. Rest, if you are reading the concepts, like for example, let's say you are reading a concept like Sanskritization. You are understanding the concept like how the society works, or you are reading a concept like dominant caste. So there is nothing mugging up here. And there is one more apprehension from the student community saying that I have to remember some n number of tribes names, I have to mug up them. No. Once you get to understand your preparation, once you know what the syllabus is according to the UPSC exam, you will frequently come across those terms or those tribes names, for example, Bills, Gonds, Chenchus, for example. Multiple times you will come across. It's like once you keep coming across them, once you revise them, there is no need of mugging up there. So I don't think this concept of mugging that is specifically attached to the anthropology. For example, let's say if you are doing a science and technology question and you are preparing for Chandrayaan 4 and you are reading about the parts. So definitely you have to remember. You have to remember either by marking up or some concept, something, you name it, the parts. There is no concept here for remembering the names of the parts. So the same comes with anthropology or any other option. There is nothing very much different that I have to mug up entire syllabus and all. So that is another myth. Yeah.
So how much time is it going to take for a fresher to complete the subject?
Yes, for a fresher with a good mentor and good classroom program, he could finish the syllabus like around 150 sessions, maybe probably put into 4.5 to 5.5 months. Then once he's done with the syllabus, he could revise it like within 3 months, 3.5 months again. So this is how the pattern works with the anthropology, because so generally people they sit around like this time, like May, June, and they finish by October, November. And then again they finish the revision with the value addition and they get ready with one complete revision of the syllabus by Feb, March. So that means they are ready with the exam, and then switch over to prelims. And then once the prelims is done, they are ready for the test series because they have already done with the classroom and they are already done with the revision. So I would say for basic understanding, it's like 5.5 months, and for revision 3.5 months. So that is very much doable.
Okay. So as we have discussed just a few moments back, like it has been one of the most popular alternatives for people who are not able to become successful with other optionals.
Yes.
So how are those people able to cope up with like optional? Like as we know,
yes,
changing the option in the middle of the preparation is a very hefty task.
Yes, exactly.
So how are the senior aspirants coping up with that? And how does it? How are they able to cover?
This has been norm every year, switching up the optional to anthropology and cracking the exam. We have number of successful candidates. Good question. So switching over optional is one of the norm these days, and many successful candidates are doing this thing. So those who are in service also, so once they are not able to get the top service they wanted, they switch over to anthropology and crack it to IAS. So some factors play into this. Like as I said, there is some specific pattern which UPSC follows. You have to see which areas are much important, which are by like hotspot mapping. You have to go through that. And then you have to, there is a thing called linkage with other parts of the syllabus. Like for example, if as I said, the different parts of the anthropology, you can link with the GS1 society, Indian village system here, and then GS3 of biotechnology, that is all again covered in our physical anthropology. And then in the GS2, if you come over, the welfare of vulnerable people, that is again the paper 2 topic of anthropology, and number of values of the ethics, like you understand the compassion, sympathy, cultural identity, ethnicity, tolerance. All those are again, you can understand it better with the subject of the anthropology as a basic. And definitely you can see the recent years where UPSC is keeping, it's asking philosophy based essay questions in the recent past. With a different perspective of the society, how you understand the problems of the society, you will get to know how to understand the demands of the exam easily compared to the other optional. So that is why this switching over to the anthropology is actually helping them rather than making it as a problem. So that is how I see it.
So that brings me to the next question, sir. How far like choosing the anthropology optional is going to help with the general studies preparation, or how is it going to change the perspective of the general studies?
Yes.
If a student chooses anthropology as optional.
Definitely. So that is what actually we were talking. Like as I said, so for example, if you are reading about women in India, or if you are reading about scheduled caste or OBCs in the Indian society of GS1. So all those topics you come across Indian village system. If you are reading about the caste-based inequalities in the GS1 society, once you understand the concept of dominant caste, how it has evolved this caste, or else judgment common system of Indian social system, you will understand how these are playing in the current world, like GS1. And similarly, the tribal upliftment, how different methods of the or different constitutional mechanisms or different laws which are working towards the upliftment of the downtrodden people, or those who are not actually integrated in the mainstream thing. Similarly, biotechnology or ethics questions, all these, definitely the way you study anthropology will definitely help in your GS preparation.
So in the recent years, particularly we might say from 2017, 18 or 19, from then, the number of students choosing anthropology optional has increased significantly.
Yes.
So what changes can we expect in the trend of the anthropology optional paper from the UPSC, or have we already started observing a change of trend of asking the questions in the anthropology optional?
Yes, very important question. Yes, definitely there is a change in the pattern of questions, pattern of how the examiner is expected a student to understand the topic rather than blunt understanding or simple rotten understanding of the subject. He wants to mix with the dynamics. If you see the question patterns recently, he is slightly mixing up the things so that he understands the society better. For example, I'll explain with an example. There is a term called virtual kinship nowadays. So generally what kinship in the anthropology is how you relate with your relatives, like mother, father, uncle, aunt, grandfather. But the recent rise of social media, so there is bro culture, and then you identify yourself with a virtual kinship. You never meet them in person, but you have one telegram group or one social media group where you identify the relationship with that guy, this virtual kinship. So
some random person.
Yes, exactly. So the basic idea of kinship is being changed. Similarly, something like digital exhibitionism. Like what is digital exhibition means? You show up every day of your life to the society through your social media. Earlier what happened, there is like you have to present with the society so that the society accepts with you. You have to follow the norms. But here, what happens with the digital exhibitionism is, for example, some fellow is posting a selfie doing this one activity. You are forced to do that activity because you feel that you are left out if you don't do that activity. Understand? So this is how the changing trends of the society. In these lines, questions are also being asked nowadays. For example, change in the women-led movements or women empowerment. So how do you see from the anthropology perspective? Or developmental plans of the tribal groups? Rather than the classic models, how can you use the recent changes or recent opinions where you get to know a lot of information from the world nowadays? So in the same way, even the examiner are expecting like 10 to 20% of the questions are, the dynamics are keeping changing. Yes, like you said, yes, the questions are changing, and also the number of students who are writing the exam with the anthropology optional are significantly getting more and more. What happens when there is more number of questions? Obviously, again, the concept of anthropology put by Darwin, survival of the fittest. And you have to evolve with your preparation strategy also.
Yes.
You have to come up with your best. You have to improvise, showing that you are the fittest than your your peer group. So this is how the student must have to focus upon evolving his answers, not just, I would come to a point here. There is one trend in the student community these days, maybe from the past 3-4 years. Students, though they come to the classes, they prepare their notes, end of the day, they succumb to one thing called PYQ simplified. I don't know why people are, some students, because people come up with these things only to read question answer and then go to the exam and write it down. Trust me, those people will never score the top marks because you are not at all using your brain and your preparation is becoming redundant. Unlike what is your anthropology saying that you have to be evolving and you have to be the fittest, you are becoming redundant. So yes, as you said, yes, with the more number of students, the competition quality is definitely evolving and you have to be evolved along with the competition to survive in the examination competition.
Sir, as you have recalled just now, what is the role of previous year questions in the preparation for the anthropology subject or to score 300 plus in the anthropology subject?
In the anthropology specific, PYQs are very, very important thing which you should not miss out. But how you study the PYQs is the thing which matters. For example, there is no point of reading the same question, same answer. So PYQs over the period of, let's say, 5 to 8 years shows that which are the areas where that examiner tends to go more frequently. This creates a pattern. It's not like pinpointedly this examiner, this will ask. It will show you the zone, some hotspot. So where you have to focus more. Along with that, you have to keep in the mind how this question, which must be a PYQ, how this question might be changed according to the dynamic trends. And according to that, your answer, you must be ready with your answer. Unlike this, if you just read the question of the PYQ and just go through some ready-made answer, that won't help you. PYQs are important, but that has to be planned according to the current demands of the examination.
So as we have discussed in this talk, like we have discussed that it is easy to score 300 plus if you work hard.
Yes.
It's one of the most popular subjects and we have discussed many other aspects. But even then, some students, be it fresher or be it some person like where some option is not working out for him or her, who wants to shift to anthropology, or some new student who wants to choose anthropology as optional. So what are your final words, like if they have any fears or any inhibitions, or if they are holding back themselves like about having some, like they are scared about choosing that option, what are your final words to such people?
So as I said, with all this discussion, it's clear that we have anthropology, one option, which is very structured, very much scoring, and where you can hotspot map with the PYQ and themes, where you can predict which areas the examiner is tend to give and then which helps you with the GS preparation and which gives you holistic perspective of how things works. With all this addition, I would say, I would debunk that thing which is you call a student will fear to switch over the optional. This is an added advantage, in fact, switching over optional or choosing the anthropology optional to clear the examination. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for doing this, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you.